So we got all the pieces in. Let me move this. Take the OCF. It's already on the income statement. Oh, I'm sorry. The year zero of that is 0. I could have calculated all of that in that sheet, but I'm going to have this separately. And CFFA is simple then. OCF minus net capital spending minus change in net working capital. Done. All we have to do is calculate our criteria. Oh, one thing we didn't add. Cost of capital for the project. It doesn't have to be for the firm because whenever a project is deemed to be riskier than the firm, you actually add on top of firm's cost of capital. Let's add that to the inputs. Let's call it required return for project. And I'm going to add 15% for that. So if I can calculate IRR, which is IRR of all the cash flows. If you remember from your, let's call this extra IRR, and from the IRR I'm going to deduct cost of capital. That way I can say internal rate of return is actually above the required rate of return, which means you accept the project. I'm going to show you guys a nice little trick. There is something called conditional formatting. And I'm going to do icon sets. I'm going to do, let's see. Right now, it puts something arbitrary. Since I have about 10 minutes, I want to show you this, guys. Go to conditional formatting again. It's manage rules. Pick that one and edit the rule. Icon style. I'm gonna actually make this 4 arrows. I'm gonna use green arrow to say you should definitely accept it. Okay. Green up arrow, yellow up arrow if it's positive but a small number, yellow down arrow, negative but slow number, red otherwise. So if it's greater than 0.5%, oh, 0, I'm sorry. Let's just do these numbers. It's obviously a green arrow. If this was 0.2, something like that. Sometimes it's a good idea to communicate that sort of stuff to people who doesn't know too much about the details of that criteria. I just picked that one, right? NPV. There's an Excel function called NPV, but that only calculates the present value of future cash flows. The first argument is the required rate of return, and the second argument is all the future cash flows, which means you have to deduct period 0 cash flow. If you want to do another format, you can do it. I'll leave it to you guys. So this has a $4.7 million in net present value, which means we should go ahead and accept it. Let me save this file. There are other criteria you could calculate. I actually have a template. I use this one for my basic finance class, but there's no reason why you can also use it here. This is a template. I enter 15%. Cost of project is, take that number, copy, paste values. I'm going to take the negative out of that. Future cash flows. Of course, take all of that out. This is something that handles up to 100 periods. If you ever needed it, you can always use it. I strongly recommend it. You keep something like this for your own future purposes. And to calculate payback periods, find the year in which running cash flow is positive. In this case, it's 5. So project pays itself back in 4.18. There is also something called discounted payback. It's basically how long does it take you to recover your investment in present value terms. In this case, running present value is positive. In year 5, it's 483. It's rather useful. This one is called PI, Profitability Index. It's basically present value of all future cash flows divided by initial cost. So for each dollar you put in, you get back about 9 cents in present value terms, over and above the cost. This modified internal rate of return is something that applies if there are negative cash flows in the future. It basically converts the cash flows. These become the cash flows, and it calculates IRR for that. Have you guys seen modified internal rate of return in your basic finance class? If you took it from me, you did. Anybody who hasn't even heard about modified internal rate of return? It's not embarrassing. You can raise your hands. I want to know. So you all heard about it? Okay. At least they got to that much. All right, let's stop here. On Monday, we're going to start talking about valuation of a firm using multiples.